Well, album review time for Pink Friday 2 by Nicki Minaj. I've been sitting here for a minute telling myself to calm down, relax, mostly because I'm very excited. Got a lot to talk about, lots of notes, lots of thoughts, and I want to, slow them down and get them out in a nice cohesive manner. And we'll start with might be my first genuine hot take of the channel's existence thus far. I think this album's great. I don't even think this is to date my favorite Nicki project. And that's probably the hot take right there. I've been watching online. I've been seeing opinions, people talking about it. It's not being received well. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. A lot of people talk about the production. Okay. Saw a lot of comments about the production. And honestly, for me, that was a little relieving because I didn't really see a lot of complaints about Nicki's performance itself and I like that because I think her performance is great. And I'll get into that a bit later. All this talk about production. So I did a little experiment because for those of you who watched my reaction, I enjoyed the album quite a bit on the first listen. And every sequence, what's the word? Every additional listen, I've enjoyed it more and more and more. Actually, I should have looked up my last FM stats. I was looking at it this morning. I've got almost 200 scrobbles, I think, on this album since Friday. So I've listened to this album 8, 9, maybe 10 times total already. I've almost had it on complete repeat. I love it. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's a 10. I'm not saying it's album of the year or anything like that. There's some skips. I enjoy it, but I think this is my favorite Nicki one. Regarding the production, though, I did a little experiment. And I went, okay, let's go back. Listen to Pink Friday, which I did. I listened to most of Pink Friday, and my session got interrupted, so I didn't get to like the last, 3 or 4 songs. Went back, listened to Pink Print again. Okay, cool. Hearing it, enjoying it. Yeah, this is Pink Print. Familiar with it. Then I put on Pink Friday 2. And I went, oh, I hear it. I hear the shift. Substantial shift in sound. Very different. Oh, interesting. I started thinking about that. Okay. People don't like the production. Okay. We all get to like and dislike whatever we want. Big shift in sound. But why am I liking it so much? Like, what is the disconnect between myself, some others, and a lot of other people who are saying garbage, trash, soulless, whatever? And I started thinking, what if, let's do a little mental experiment of our own. And I did this for myself, and I want to walk through it, and you guys can kind of join me on this. Let's do a little time travel in our mind. Let's go back 3 weeks, and let's pretend in this little experiment that we don't know the name of the album. Because I think one of the biggest problems with Pink Friday 2 is that it's called Pink Friday 2. Because when you name an album Pink Friday 2, you evoke an expectation of sound from your audience. You're essentially telling your audience, hey, expect this, more of this. And Pink Friday 2 is not more of Pink Friday. Now, I don't know what Nicki's intentions were with that, honestly, obviously. But let's do this little experiment because I was thinking about it. Okay, well, what would I call the album then? Like, if it's up to me, I'm working with their team, I'm part of the decision-making process, what would I call it? And for a while, I was like, I don't know. Because it's kind of a collection of songs, right? There's no real coherent theme that runs from beginning to end. She's touching on all these things. And then it just popped into my mind. I think I would have called this album Onika. So imagine that. It's 3 weeks ago. And in this little thing, we don't know the name of the album. And then she finally announces the name of the album. And it's called Onika. Okay. That's interesting. Her first name. That's kind of personal, isn't it? And then you see, it's December 8th. Oh, okay. Well, that's her birthday. She's turning 41. Okay. So she's a little older. Album's named Onika. Okay. You know, what else is going on? Like, why this? Why is she going to call it this? What else has happened? Well, it's been 5 years since her last album. Okay, so what else is going on? She's gotten married since then. She's had a son since then. Her father has died. Huh. And in that thought experiment, for myself, and I can't speak for you guys can make up your own mind. I thought to myself, well, shit, I don't know what to expect from this album that's coming out. I sure as hell would not expect club songs, dance songs, party songs, high energy. No, I'm going to expect something different. I really don't know what to expect. And I think, I don't know, maybe I'm being naive. Who knows? But I think the impression I'm getting from a lot of these comments about this album, the people who are just not into it, they don't like it, what the hell is this? It's this big miss, huge fall off, whatever. I think they came into this album, rightfully so, with an expectation, and then they got hit right upside the head with something totally different. So there's kind of substantial problem number one, in my opinion. Number two, you go into track one, which I think is beautiful, by the way, for the record. Are You Gone Already? Beautiful song. I love the song. But I love the song because I'm not on TikTok. I learned about this whole thing over the weekend, about this trend on TikTok, apparently, where people take songs and they put like this high-pitched filter on it or something. And it's like happening all the time now, and it's driving people crazy, and it's this trend or whatever. I don't know anything about that shit. And I'm really glad I don't know anything about that shit. Sounds awful. Sounds annoying. Also, I've never listened to Billie Eilish. And what did they do before the album came out? I think it was like 4 or 5 days before the album release. A couple pictures of her with Billie Eilish, hyping up the fans. Oh my God, a collab with Billie Eilish. Oh my God, this is going to be incredible, blah, blah, blah. And then track one, instead of it being this kind of meaningful collaboration between two huge artists, it's a TikTok trend where they just took the same song and put it on this weird filter thing. And then if you're expecting Pink Friday and you go through the first 4 or 5 songs, because this is what I do with my own experiment. I put it on after listening to the other two and I went, holy shit, what is this? I think this is why so many people are going, this album is garbage. Like, I kind of get it. Now, I don't agree, but I do feel like that's kind of what's happening, at least in my own opinion, obviously. The biggest nitpicks being production. I feel like this was set up in a certain way that the fans expected a certain thing, and a lot of people just didn't get that. But for me, especially, the thought experiment with Onika and the album being called that, for me, I love this album because it's not this experiment or this experience with a persona of Nicki Minaj. I feel like I'm a little bit more next to Onika instead of Nicki. I almost mixed up the two names there. Much like, apparently, I mixed up Blueprint and Pinkprint during the reaction. I love how the production is stripped back. I love how in each song, Nicki's vocal performance is matching the tone of the production. I like that the production gives her space to move around. I like that vocally on some songs she's singing. On some songs she's rapping. On some, a little bit more aggressive with her lyrics. Some a little bit more open and vulnerable. She's silly. She's talking shit. She's speeding up her flow. She's slowing it down. Inflections in her voice. The vocal performance by Nicki is fucking great on this one, in my opinion. I think it's fantastic. Barbie Dangerous, she just comes out swinging. Just swinging. Beep, beep. God damn, if I don't even know you exist, is that beef? Awesome. Awesome little track. Falling For You, Let Me Calm Down is great. J. Cole's verse is fucking killing it. I watched Lost in Vegas, their reaction to Let Me Calm Down. And those guys are so great. I really, really enjoy them. They're a huge reason why I made my own channel. And it was fun watching them because they broke down J. Cole's verse so well. I felt dumb. Like, oh, I need to up my game a little bit. I do skip track 3, Fuck the Club Up. I don't like the sample. I don't like how it's cut. I mean, the rest of the song itself, I'm fine with. It's cool. But the sample, I just kind of annoys me. I don't like it. Pink Birthday is another one that I skip. I'm really not into that one. Needle with the Drake feature. I feel like that's just like a standard like fan service track. Her and Drake together again. Nice chill song. They both sound good. Cowgirl, I still love. I still love the chorus by, what is it, Lourdes, I think is how you pronounce the artist's name. I love the sound of her voice. I love the chorus. And yeah, I just hum along to Riding Like a Cowgirl. Everybody I went back and forth on. Everybody is like, kind of, it's chaotic, it's loud, it's crazy. I took a heart off of it for a while. I put it back on, and I kind of eventually got hooked on it. And it's surprising because, I don't know, it's just not quite my style, but I like the sample completing the lyrical line. And I realize that makes me hypocritical because I've complained in the past about rappers who use the same line to complete the rhyming structure at the end. But I like it when Doom does it on Food with Super. I like it when she does it here. I think Little Sims does it, not Heart on Fire. It's kind of the inverse on Heart on Fire. But I don't know why, but I like it when a sample cut completes a lyrical line. I like it. So everybody grew on me. Big Difference is cool. It's kind of weird, kind of creepy production. Changes up the beat. She changes up her flow with it. It switches back. I like that one. Red Ruby to Sleaze. Somebody told me, I don't remember where it was, but there was a comment I was, on the reaction I mentioned, oh, I wish she would have did something with the na 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 na. And there was a comment saying, don't worry, it'll grow on you. And you were right. You were right. It did grow on me. Absolutely. And then you get, Forward from Trini is cool. That one I'm not a huge fan of just because I can't really, understand the accent and stuff like that. So I have a heart next to it. I could keep it or take it or leave it, whatever. I don't really care, honestly, one way or the other. I'm pretty neutral on that one. But Pink Friday Girl, Super Freaky Girl, Bam Bam, or actually not Bam Bam, Bomb Bomb. I love the way the beat hits on Bomb Bomb. It's fucking cool. My Life is great. I'm not a huge fan of Blessings, but I like that it's in there. I like that she, kind of like I said earlier, this whole album, the idea of it being a pie chart, and each song is kind of its own portion of what makes up who Nicki is. Last Time I Saw You is fantastic. And even Just the Memories, which I wasn't necessarily totally into, I like it. I like it. So there you go. Not necessarily the most insightful thing, but my experience with the album, this is just kind of been a wild week because, again, every time I put it on, I enjoyed it a little bit more and I got more comfortable with it. And I felt like instead of being kind of kept at bay with this persona of Nicki Minaj and loud, rich beats and bright colors and sassy lines and crazy, characters and personas, I felt like that wall came down a little bit. And I actually got to sit just a little bit closer and kind of experience a little bit more of who she is right now in her life. And two, there's something to be said, I think, about an artist who has put in so much effort in striving to reach the top, to prove people wrong, to show all the haters and the doubters and all this other stuff that she can do it and blah, blah, blah. And in terms of her career and where she is and what she's done, I mean, she's basically, as far as I can tell, accomplished those goals. She's reached those milestones. She's a huge hip-hop artist as a female, probably the biggest female hip-hop artist there is. I don't know all the stats and the numbers, so I'm not going to latch onto that claim too heavily. But when you hear an artist who no longer has to prove themselves, there's a difference between climbing the mountain and standing on top of the mountain. There's a different confidence. There's a different feel. And I feel like with Nicki's performance on this album, specifically her performance, what she's doing, she just seems, I don't want to say more comfortable because it's not like she seemed nervous before. But I would say the older Nicki, or I would suppose the younger Nicki, the one who was trying to prove herself, the one who was trying to make it, she felt like someone who's being bold for the sake of being bold to let you know she's bold and so you can't question her. Whereas this Nicki on this album is more, no, I'm me. I don't have to prove shit to you. End of story. There you go. Here's my review on Pink Friday 2. And you know what? If this turns out to be my legit hot take, I'll take it. Because I've listened to this over and over again. I've enjoyed it every time. Absolutely. No question in my mind. Okay, y'all. There you go. There's my thoughts on the album. And again, you know, I love it. It's not a perfect 10. It's not, for me, it's not a contender of album of the year. There's some skips. It could have been presented in a different way that I think would have been accepted a little better by the listening community. But there you go. All right, y'all. Take care.